Hey everybody, this week's recap is brought to you by Elf Creek Games. And folks, we got a bunch of fun stuff to talk about today. As always, I'm going to be telling you about all the videos that went up on my channel over the last week, a bunch of videos that went up on other people's channels that I think are awesome, and then we'll cap it out with several new games I discovered as I was searching my way through Board Game Geek that have made it onto my wish list, and maybe they'll be on yours as well, and some of these you will have not have heard of anywhere else. So as always, you can just follow the links down in the show notes if you want to jump from one section to another, but let's just get going, first of all, with a couple of exclusives that are on my channel right now for folks who back the show, either here on YouTube as members or over at patreon.com. What am I talking about? I'm glad you asked. I put up, just yesterday, in fact, a full run-through of a new game from designer Peter Prinz, Comet. It was me and Jen playing all the way through. And I gotta tell you, folks, this game is fantastic. It is so much fun to play. I think this might be Jen's favorite game of the month. We're about to do her Gen Jogs, which is another exclusive show I'll tell you about next week, but it's a really super fun game with multi-use cards where we are trying to save lots of different species of animals, prehistoric animals from the comet that is coming. And not much attention is being given to this game, but I think that's a mistake because it's very, very cool. Now, the other exclusive I just put up, again, just yesterday, is my solo run-through of Siege of Valeria, which is right here. There's still the leftover remnants of it here on the table. And this is a fun little tower defense game that's for one player only. And man, I had such a fun time filming this thing. And it was just nice to be reminded. Actually, both of these reminded me that, hey, I'm actually going to be a pretty good game player. So I did pretty well in both of these exclusive run-throughs for folks who help keep Rahdo running. Thanks to all of you. Now, what does everybody get to see on the channel? What is public for all? First of all, I did a couple of previews over the last week. One of them is for One Hit Heroes, a very, very cool fast-playing cooperative boss battler that does several really cool, interesting things. The most important thing is that the heroes we control literally have one hit point. If they take one hit from the big boss we're fighting, they die. And this creates such an air of drama and excitement and tension and sometimes desperation as those bosses keep wailing at you and they're smashing through whatever meager resource or defenses you have. It's a lot of fun. And when played as a two-player game, as I've done with Jen on the road, there is so much opportunity for overlap inclusion. I'm feeling like, this is kind of an Aeon's End level of players interacting with each other and helping each other because they need to survive one-hit heroes. The other preview I put up was Heroes of Sanctum, the strategy card game, another cooperative combat game. This one is great. The thing that really stands out about it, no randomness. Everything is deterministic. So you have a lot more control as you are trying to best puzzle out how to deal with the onslaught hordes of bad guys that are going to hit your party of adventurers as you adventure from place to place. This game has a really big game feel in a tiny little box. It's just a deck of cards and a few tokens, and yet it's got so much going on. The whole thing is driven by worker placement. So, seeing, excuse me, sorry folks, I gotta clear my throat. Right, what was I saying? Oh yeah, really cool fantasy adventure gameplay driven by worker placement instead of more traditional stuff really makes this one stand out. Now, what else went up on the channel? Oh, I also put up a rapid review for It's a Wonderful World, Leisure and Decadence. A great expansion for one of the greatest engine building games of all time. I think it's absolutely phenomenal little design, and I highly recommend it, and I spent a few minutes talking about it if you'd like to get the download really quick. And speaking of Wonderful World as an engine building game, we put up a new R&R show with Ruel, Chris, Ray, and myself listing our top 12 engine building games. Did It's a Wonderful World make it onto that list? Well, you'll have to watch to find out, but I strongly suggest, as always, folks, watch the extended edition because you get a lot of pre-show fun with the three of them. And in the post-show, you get to hear a full top 10. I talk about 10 amazing games. Now, between the three and four of us, we talk about 12 in the main run-through. So if you only watch the main thing, you're going to get a lot of great examples. Although, honestly, I don't know if Chris quite knows what an engine building game is, but that's okay. Watch the extended and you'll hear a whole bunch more. So that was a lot of fun as always, the latest R&R. Then what else have we got? Oh, I did another Q&A. We've got, what is it, half an hour? 38 minutes of me answering a bunch of questions like, what's next from Stonemaier Games? I've got, I kind of hint at it here. Big, exciting stuff coming. Functions of Board Game Geek that honestly I didn't even know were there, or I kind of knew, but I didn't know how to do them. There was, as always, a lot of really fun questions. And if you actually check out the Q&A, folks, you can just scroll down and expand and just jump to any question you want. If there's a question you don't particularly want to hear that I'm stuck on and I keep rambling on, just jump to the next one. There were a lot of really fun topics in the latest Q&A. Okay. But it's not just me on the channel, folks. Shay did a run-through for Sankore, Pride of Mansa Musa, which I think is probably the biggest, heaviest, crunchy Euro that has come out so far in 2024. I played it myself with Jen when we were on the road. It was physically too large for me to film while we were in the RV, so I gave our copy to Shay so he could do a run-through for it, because the game is really cool, and I definitely think it deserved, the Rahdo runs-through treatment so you folks can really get a sense for what it's all about. Although it's interesting, Shay had some very strong critiques for it in his final thoughts, so you might want to check those out. And that is it. That's what went up on my channel this week. But now let's talk about some other channels. Starting with Jamie Stegmaier, the head of Stonemaier Games. This is the video of the week, folks. If you only watch one board game related video, I'd suggest it be this one. Well, after you actually watch everything on my channel, of course. Jamie recently had his YouTube account hacked, and hackers came in, they took his channel offline, they screwed with it, they did a bunch of crypto-y type stuff, and Jamie basically got control back, and now he has done a half-hour long video talking about everything. Talking about how he was duped, because he's very careful, and he was duped in a way that I think could have hit any of us. So it's a great cautionary tale to watch this. And then also, it's a really wonderful story talking about all the support he got. So there's a lot of dramatic highs and lows as he basically just talks directly to camera about, all the stuff he went through of, getting hacked and then recovering and trying to rebuild. I think it's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend this video. I think it's kind of a must-watch for people who live in our modern internet. I definitely took a lot of strong takeaways from this, and I think you will too. So I highly recommend that. Link for it, and everything I'm talking about is down in the show notes, folks. Or if you wait till the end, there'll be a playlist of all the videos I'm talking about, and you can just jump right to Jamie and hear more of his story. But that's not all. Tim Chewin did a After 40 Hours of Mythwind, Here's What I Think. And Tim, I think this is your best video to date. Not only, as always, is it stunningly gorgeous, although that's always the case with you, I gotta say, this is maybe your most beautifully put together video yet. The glamour shots of this game are just eye-popping, although it helps that you've got such a beautiful game. But it was really interesting. I mean, I've watched several different videos about Mythwind, including, Maggie did a run-through for it on the channel. Normally, I don't talk about stuff we already covered on the channel. But Tim's video was so great, especially because of his point of view. This is a game Tim should not like at all. I've done a top 10 with him. He's all about the in-your-face punching and the kicking and the shooting. And Mythwind is a chill, laid-back, relaxed experience. Some people say it's not even a game. So to hear somebody who loves, the rough and tumble side of board gaming and his feelings about Mythwind, I thought was fascinating. And again, Tim, it's your best video to date. Bravo, sir. Great, great stuff. What else did I like? Oh, Ambi of Board Game Blitz. I really enjoy her channel. I think I've linked to one of her song videos she did recently. This time, she did 3 escape room board games for preschoolers, because she's a mom, and in addition to a board game, wonderful media channel, and she was talking about how she loves escape rooms, and can she share them with her preschoolers. And there they are right there. They are adorable. And so she talked about 3 different games. And I was interested in this, honestly, not because of the kids at all, but because I like the idea of escape rooms. And I'm kind of burned out because I'm just done feeling dumb. And I wanted to hear, how do they make escape rooms for little kids? What works? What doesn't work? And it was fascinating. It actually reminded me of my time as a video game designer, where one of the last games I ever worked on was a children's MMO. And I learned a lot about child psychology and whatnot, and how to make make games work for parents and children at the same time. And that's what Ambi's talking about here. So if you have kids and you're a board gamer, you want to watch this video. If you're just interested in board game design, you want to watch this video. It's a great one. I really enjoyed it. Great job, Ambi. Let's see, what else have we got? Oh, I've got 2 games in my ongoing series of I am so jealous that these other channels got to cover a game that I really care about. And here we've got Danny of Board Game Sanctuary talking about Harmony. Well, he said, a perplexing puzzle game of disharmony. And man, this game is so gorgeous. How did you get a copy of this? I feel like I was just talking about it in a recap just a few weeks ago that the game is way off in the distance, but Danny's got his hands on it right now. And again, he did a fantastic job making me jealous because he's got his hands on it and I don't. And just look at the thing, folks. Danny is hilarious. He's a lot of fun to watch, and he does a great job getting our hopes up for Harmonies. I'm even more excited about it than I was before. And then the other one is Barry from Board Games Everybody Should Play. Is the name of his channel, and he's covering a game called Heredity. And here's the thing, this game is only available in France apparently, and apparently it's only available in French. He's a British man who lives in France, and he's fluent in French, so he can play it. He said that this is going to be going wider later on. It's only available in French right now, but again, the way, this post-apocalyptic survivor game seems like it has a lot of very, very cool notions in it. Barry does a very good job of walking us through what makes this special and different and stand out from other games of its ilk. And, I am on board for Heredity, a game I had not even heard of. And I gotta tell you, folks, that's pretty rare. I try to keep my finger on the pulse, and I'm very, very surprised by a game that came out of nowhere. Heredity kind of came out of nowhere, and Barry introduced, so I just want to say thank you, Barry, and pass it along by letting everybody else know that Barry runs a great channel called Board Games Everybody Should. Okay, so that is it for new videos, right? Now, let's talk about some new games, because like I said, folks, I like to keep my finger on the pulse, and now I'm going to put your finger on that same pulse, because every week I spend a couple of hours basically looking at every single new game that gets added to the Board Game Geek database. It takes me quite a long time. There are hundreds of these games, and I look at all of them. And of all of those games, I've got 4 that really stood out to me that I put on my wish list as like to haves or greater. And there'll be links for them down on Board Game Geek if you want to add them to your wish list as well, and subscribe so you can find out more about the games as more becomes known. All right, anyway. Let's get going. Starting with Neko Syndicate. And I have to admit, my bad, folks. I actually saw this one a few weeks ago, maybe even a month ago when it first went on the database, and I just kind of skipped over it. I ignored it because one of the things I do when I'm to be able to look through hundreds of games and just try to get through it quickly, I often quickly just look at the mechanisms. And I saw pick up and deliver, and like, pick up and deliver, don't care. Oh yeah, okay, it's about cat organized crime, and and that's all silly and interesting. But I'm just like, I just don't know. But what I missed, folks, it's from designer Danny Garcia, who is fast becoming my most favoriteest designer of all time. I've loved everything he's done so far, and so I must play this game now. So, hey, if anybody can make me like pick up and deliver, it's going to be Danny, and the description sounds very interesting. Unfortunately, there's no real pictures other than the box art. But there's a pyramid of kind of worker placement spots that you work your way down the pyramid, and you're grabbing things and moving them from one location to another. So it's kind of pick up and deliver by way of one-directional worker placement. That does sound interesting, I will admit. But again, I'm here for Danny Garcia. Whatever he's putting in a cardboard box, I've got to try, including Neko Syndicate. Then there was also SETI, The Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. This is the latest game from Czech Games Edition, and I was really shocked. They put out a trailer for it this week. CGE did. And it's an amazingly good trailer. And I thought I'd just be able to say, hey, watch the trailer. But they haven't put it on Board Game Geek yet. So now I'm thinking I should have made that one of my short list. Hey, videos you should watch this week. I just thought it'd be easy to find. But you can do a search for CGE SETI and you'll find it on YouTube. Anyway, what is it? It's from a relatively new designer. And it is about the near future search for terrestrial life, where we are scanning terrestrial bodies, or actually sending out probes to look for it. It sounds really cool. CGE always puts out bangers, and if you watch the video, you can see this in motion. But there is a static picture of it here. The celestial bodies are constantly in motion with this 1, 2, 3. Is it 1, 2? Looks like maybe it's either 3 or 4 level deep spinning thing that represents all the different planets, and so with the sun in the center, and so things are constantly literally in motion as we are trying to plot out what our escape routes are to get our probes out there into deep space and all of that. It sounds very, very cool. And again, CGE always puts together, if not games that work for me in Gen, always at least games that I'm always glad I tried. And so I'm very keen for SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Then we've got Don't Starve, the board game. And now, this is from Glass Cannon Unplugged, and they have really been making a name for themselves with video game adaptations recently. Kimberly, and everybody, not just Kimberly, who did a run-through for Frostpunk on the channel, but everybody who's talked about Frostpunk loved it. And I saw a Dying Light at the Dice Tower West Convention Library, and again, everybody seemed to be loving it. So Glass Cannon seems to have cracked the code of taking big, robust video game experiences and making them work on the tabletop. So, I haven't played any, but maybe this is the one that I want to. It is a co-op, dungeon crawler, I guess, which I have to admit. Explore, fight, survive. Most importantly, don't starve. There's very little information here. I'm mostly going, again, on the pedigree of the Frostpunk and what Glass Cannon has done before. But there is one thing worth pointing out. I saw this picture. I want to play that game. I assume this is, obviously taking art directly from the video game, but obviously this is straight up Tim Burton-esque Frankenweenie type stuff, and I love this aesthetic. So I want to play a game. Heck, even if I'm only so-so on the gameplay, just the presentation here makes me more excited. Heck, that was actually a topic in the Q&A I did. Full circle, the Q&A this week was, one of the topics was games where the theme was so great it made me overcome my distaste for mechanisms. Maybe this is going to be one of them. But just look at that. Don't you want to play this game? I know I do. So I had to put it on my short list. Don't Starve, the board game. And then finally, Super. Unfortunately, no real information. One thing I do know, Johannes Goopy is definitely a designer to watch these days. Far Away is phenomenal. Rahdo is freaking amazing. It's another one that I talked about in that engine building games list that was in the latest R&R. Orichalcum was very, very cool. Queens was great. Johannes is a designer to be watched. And he's here with Jeremy Ducray. I don't recognize Jeremy's name. I should have looked before I started filming. I do not know Jeremy's work, but I do know Johannes' work. But more importantly, I'm just pulled in by this. This is a game where, the equivalent of the Avengers or the Justice League have stepped down, and now we in this world are trying to make the best new super friends, super group of heroes. But we are having to, mix and match the right heroes together to make a good team, but we are also focusing on social media. We're trying to make sure that they are a popular team as well. And that, we win by attracting 60 million followers as quickly as possible. So I'm sure there's superhero, dramatics and probably things to fight and all that. But will you become the number one superhero agency? Because it's more about marketing the heroes than actually finding the bad guys. That tickles me pink. I love that as a new twist on something we've seen a lot of. So yeah. Super, which I'm telling you about this way early, folks. We won't be seeing this until 2025, but it definitely goes on my wish list as a game I would love to check out. And that's it, folks. Another week recapped. And we got to go, folks, because I've got so many fun games here. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Oh, by the way, there's the playlist. Right, there's the playlist. You want to hit that. But I don't have time to talk anymore because look at this, folks. I gotta play all of these. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Can you see them? I'm taunting you. I'm toying with you. I am teasing you here. But anyway, I assume by now you've already left because you are not having any of my shenanigans anymore.